morning, all, and welcome back after what I hope was a restful weekend. Great to see you all back. I am going to speak for just about literally 60 seconds in introducing Mr. Peter Saltsman, but I need to explain briefly the position that he holds. I have long felt that schools like ours, I think to be relevant in this century, have to engage in a really rigorous and interesting discussion about what it means to be an environmental steward. That is, how we consider our place in terms of our relationship with the earth. And you might think about what that word steward means. It means to take care of, obviously. It means to take care of something with an idea to the future. So I've been interested in this question, and of course at Taft, as you know, whether it's in your environmental science class or through recycling or through team or what have you, this is an important part of who we are. That is, we should as a school be thinking about what do we need to do and what lessons do we need to carry with us in order to be good environmental stewards. And a number of years ago, a Taft family named the Wolds, W-O-L-D, this is a family that's had 3 generations at Taft, approached me with the idea that they might endow a chair in environmental studies and environmental stewardship. And for those of you who don't know, when you endow a chair, essentially what it means is they made an extraordinary gift, and what it does is it provides the funds for that position forever. That is, it is a commitment by the school forever, so that you will, in perpetuity, have a position in environmental studies and stewardship. So they were fantastic in doing this, and Mr. Saltsman now has become the first recipient of the Wold Family Chair in Environmental Studies and Stewardship. And he's going to speak to you today briefly. And I just thought I'd introduce you to him so you understand his background and the important work we're going to be doing through this endowed position. He is a graduate of Andover in 1978, was the crew captain there. And then he went on to Dartmouth, where he was the crew captain and rowed the first boat for 4 years. He was an earth science major and in applied geology. And as a geologist, after graduating, he did projects all over the world. And I remember interviewing him, thinking his experience was fascinating. He had done work in Guatemala and Nicaragua, Utah, and New York State. He had done geological work everywhere. And he had an accomplished career as a geologist. He then went into independent consulting. He was committed to working with corporations as well as different municipal and state governments doing environmental remediation, cleanups, data analysis. And at the same time he did that, he has somehow also got his master's in education from Harvard in educational technology. His concentration was on environmental management, and the thesis that he wrote, and this is what made me really drawn to his work, was on environmental sustainability at higher education, in universities and colleges. And so I remember interviewing him thinking, if we were fortunate enough to get this man here, his career as an applied scientist, and also someone who is committed to environmental sustainability and thinking about environmental stewardship at the broadest level would make ours a better school and would be a great way to honor this new position we had. He also has taught at public and private schools, and for the last 6 years he's been the girls' varsity crew coach at Andover, even as he was undertaking those other responsibilities. So he comes with a remarkable background. This is a man who is a real teacher, who loves working with students, and has a deep passion for the earth and for the ways in which we relate to the earth. And he will lead, I think, on this campus, a fascinating and rigorous discussion about what environmental stewardship means. Many of you have met him already in science or else in his global warming class, and today you'll get to meet him officially. So would you welcome Mr. Peter Saltsman?
Hey everyone. I have had the pleasure of getting to know some of you and look forward to knowing everyone here. I'm honored to have been chosen for the Wold chair position as Taft's new Director of Environmental Stewardship. And it's really exciting to be here in a great place with so many phenomenal people. As a newcomer, I see Taft as a true learning community and exemplary association of people of great intellectual capacity that's together for a small but highly meaningful portion of your lives, and that will stimulate you to become who you will be in ways that you can now only imagine. Okay, I need to stop that. So relish every day and push your personal boundaries. I'd like to give you some background on where I'm coming from, where Taft is going, and what you can do to help protect our precious environment. But first, I have a couple props. I brought a bucket of water not to keep the front rows from heckling me, but just to show you that this is a 2-minute shower right here. It's about 6 to 8 people's drinking water for a day. And so if you like to sing arias in the shower, try to cut them short or sing while you're drying off. Another really important thing to do for the environment is use a power strip and use this little switch. Listen, so easy to be environmental. Okay? Turn your computers to sleep mode. There are many simple things you can do. As Mr. McMullen mentioned, I'm from New England. I grew up in Middletown, Connecticut. I spent my childhood playing in the woods of New England and sailing on the shoreline of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. I've been obsessed with water and boats ever since I was a kid. I rowed competitively through high school and 4 years at Dartmouth, and I've sculled ever since. Like many of you, through my parents, I learned the value and importance of a good education. I grew tremendously in 2 years of private school, where I got to run with a fast pack of students who came from all over the world. And as exciting as I found the high-powered academic environment, the most enriching aspect, without a doubt, of the schools I attended were the people I met and the relationships I developed, many of which continue to this day, and most of which live on within me as inspirational role models, peers, coaches, teachers, and professors alike. When I first got to Dartmouth, the President Kemeny at the time, who addressed our freshman class upon matriculation, said, "It does not matter what you major in, as long as you push yourself in one area, learn to learn, and strive to expand your mind." I learned early in life to appreciate the beauty of nature and about leave no trace behind camping. As an avid hiker, I was passionate about being outdoors and continually wondered how those hills, mountains, and valleys formed and why the forests grew the way they did. After college, the mountains called to me, and I sought work on the Continental Divide in Colorado and the Rockies, where I scored a job as a geologist for Anaconda Copper Company. With Anaconda, I worked on a large-scale gold exploration project in Summitville near Telluride at about 13,000 feet on a mountain that produced more gold for 20 years around the turn of the century than any other place in the U.S. We drilled 300-foot holes on a grid pattern and analyzed rock to construct a 3D map of the hydrothermal zone of this volcano, or a former volcano. As much as I love the adventurous life of minerals exploration, that was surely the turning point that drove me into environmental cleanup work. That site, Summitville, became the biggest Superfund site in Colorado due to reprocessing of the tailings and leaching of acid into the groundwater. I soon found myself professionally exploring the soil, bedrock, and groundwater of the northeastern U.S. in a very different kind of EarthX work, assessing and addressing impacts to natural resources by releases of oil, metal, solvents, and other nasty contaminants. I got to use all the latest technologies to delineate and clean up localized effects of the Industrial Revolution. I got pretty good at figuring out how all kinds of contaminants mobilized through soil and rock, and helped to clean up many interesting sites, from sudden oil spills and transformer explosions, and including impacts by historical activities at industrial, military, public works facilities, universities, and many other places. Having truly enjoyed a great educational experience early in life, and after my wife and I had 2 adorable daughters, I became drawn back to the world of education. Not only did I want to be closer to my own kids than distant field work allowed, but I was thrilled at the concept of furthering my education and giving something back to the world as a teacher. So with a ton of encouragement from my friends and family, I completed a graduate program in educational technologies at Harvard with a minor in environmental management. I started teaching at a nearby high school and became the girls' crew coach at Andover. That was about 7 years ago, and it's been a wonderful new chapter in my life. The inspired students and determined rowers I've known have recharged my batteries every day. And I can't think of a better way to give back to a society that's provided me with such a wholesome and rewarding existence. I therefore consider myself really lucky to have met with Mr. McMullen, Mr. Torino, Mr. Wilson, and all the great faculty here and leaders within this institution, so that I can help you be the leaders of tomorrow's world. When I entered graduate school with a focus on educational technologies, I really just wanted to learn the current tools of the trade and become a better science teacher. Little did I know how intrigued I would become with the applications of sustainable living and operations on campus today. As a consultant, I worked on environmental projects within several colleges and schools throughout the Northeast. And at Harvard, I became fascinated with the emerging field of environmental sustainability. And so I eventually completed my degree in education with a thesis on the applications of sustainability on campus, as Mr. McMullen had mentioned. I took full advantage of my research time to perform case studies of 8 various institutions, including Smith, Williams, Middlebury, Tufts, UNH, Harvard, Andover, and Exeter. I focused on the experience and challenges of sustainability directors there and strove to understand how they became effective agents of change within different traditional and successful institutions. Their stories were mesmerizing, and they proved to be a fascinating lot of people who basically found ways to work productively with about everyone on campus. The perspective I gained in hearing each one of these people's stories and in the process of studying this field work makes me as happy as anyone can be to be here and now at a cool place like Taft working as your new Director of Environmental Stewardship. Environmental stewardship. The Native American definition of such is that our children do not inherit the world, we borrow it from them. So with that said, as the leaders of our own future, many challenges lie ahead of us. People say that addressing climate change is not a technical challenge, it's a challenge of leadership. And despite all the gloomy stories you may hear about climate change, from my perspective of having worked to address the effects of the Industrial Revolution on soil and groundwater, I have no doubt that we have the resources and technology to address impacts of our burgeoning civilization on our own atmosphere and ecosystems. Please know that today's biggest hazards often creep up on you slowly and with great stealth, completely unlike the saber-toothed tiger of humanity's past. We've been hard at work since the turn of the century, dumping greenhouse gases into our atmosphere, and now that we realize what we've done, it's not going to get solved overnight, but times they are changing. And in terms of solutions, I love the concepts put forth in the Shawshank Redemption, that, as many geologists know, enormous changes can happen with constant pressure and time. And you should know that Olympic athletes don't win their medals right there at the games. They win them over years and years of hard training hours. Champions are born when nobody is looking. An Olympian is born when a girl goes to her first gymnastics class. Olympians train out on the cross-country course when someone like Sarah guns it. Yep. When someone like Sarah guns it in the last half mile to pass that Miss Porter's schoolgirl and score points needed to win for her team. Go Sarah. All right? Check out all the hard-working cross-country runners cruising up the hill. Love that. All right, so I'm getting ahead to the hockey boys. Winners test their mettle when someone like Georgia rockets in like a hurricane with her fast blue shoes and steals the ball. Or a girl named Laurel drops in a floating kick to score from the bottom corner. And just as much tomorrow's environmental leaders begin their work when Hammy learns to take a 30-second shower at the island school, or Claire attends the mountain school, or Hannah reads Whitman on the top of a mountain in Colorado. Similarly, a music virtuoso is born here in an art studio when a boy puts in hours of practice later to form up a rockin' band like Fish. So live every day to the fullest and never count out the little things you do in life. Or overlook the geniuses developing around you. Someday at reunions you'll marvel that your old roommate is now a leader in his or her field of expertise, and you'll be happy you knew them before they were famous. So, you might ask, what things are already underway here at Taft in terms of environmental initiatives? First off, our gorgeous campus is taken care of by knowledgeable people like Vern, who understand the symbiotic relationship of soils and plants, such that if you care for the health of the soil with organic treatments and the right balance of pH, like Ocean Solutions, and soil amendments like Ocean Solutions, which are micronutrients, then the grass fertility is enhanced, and by itself it beats off disease. So when the plants pick up nutrients more effectively, you can generally limit the use of herbicides and fungicides. So we've cut that way back. You've more than likely seen, here's Mr. Taft, he's smiling, I like that. You've more than likely seen Terry, our extremely capable gardener, who came from us from White Flower Farm, a premier local place that specializes in greenhouses. She's up early every morning beautifying the place with her vast knowledge of plants. And she pointed out to me a very special elm tree that grows next to Hagrid's hut up there on the hill. This is all her work. This is, according to her, the most healthy original elm tree that she knows of in New England. And there are some other really cool environmentally aware people on campus, like Mr. Lansdale has been keeping beehives back up on the hillside. And if you know anything about the current plight of the bees, it's really an important thing for an environment. We're also already doing many great things that you probably don't even notice. Mr. Thornfeld and Mr. Shepard are some of the greenest people on campus. Because of our exceptionally sound financial standing, Mr. Thornfeld has been able to purchase 100% green power from competitive bidders. And this means our electricity comes from sources such as solar, wind, geothermal, and other green power producers. We have solar panels up on the roofs. I actually climbed up there and checked them out. They were donated by the class of 2007 and 2008, along with a grant from Connecticut. And they produce 12,000 kilowatt. They're a 12,000 kilowatt solar panel array above the squash courts in Crookshank Athletic Center. And you can view the output of them on our kiosk. They've generated 22,833 kilowatt hours. We also reduce our lighting needs by copious amounts of natural light throughout our beautiful campus. Look at all these great places to interact with people and study on campus. Okay, that's just one of the green elements of our gorgeous buildings around. Daylighting. It's a big part of LEED construction. And in addition to that, Mr. Shepard and his crew have been hard at work replacing all our light bulbs with CFLs and LEDs, which not only last longer so they don't have to go around and replace them so much, but they use far less wattage. Okay, look, there's one out in front at the big lights. These are parking lot lights with LEDs. You guys have probably seen the very powerful flashlights that you can get that are LED flashlights, and here are some out by the field house as well as in some of the buildings. Even our big field houses have been retrofitted with more efficient high output lights so that they cut down 80 watts per light. Even some of the buildings that are the most consumptive energy users on campus, like the science buildings or the hockey rinks where you need a frozen floor in a 50-degree room, have been retooled for maximum efficiency. These are some of the chilling systems that allow us to have really competitive ice. And if Coach Murphy wants to have hard, fast ice for practice or for a game, he calls them up, and within an hour they circulate the brine solution around and freeze the floor right down. Okay, like high energy use facilities such as laboratories and hospitals, today's competitive schools and universities include energy hogs like these buildings that require continual 100% air exchange. And how does an institution deal with that? Well, we have very intelligent building management systems that allow someone like Mr. Shepard, here's a screenshot of his building management system, to tune every building in the campus from one computer using inputs from CO2, oxygen. Here he is. He does it every single day, and this saves us tons of energy, much more than we save by switching out light bulbs. This is another form of environmental protection that we have. It's a leak detection system. We don't have underground storage tanks anymore. We have an above-ground storage tank that's double-walled. So even there, we don't release oil into the environment because we don't have tanks underground. We also have far more efficient boilers. These are a bunch of highly efficient boilers on campus. Before 2005, we burned 275,000 to 320,000 gallons of fuel oil. But with the installation and tuning of the building management system, we've cut that down below 200,000. And in 2008, we switched almost completely to natural gas. 2 out of 3 burners are only there as backup. They burn fuel oil, but we never use them because the natural gas systems are so efficient. These are really amazing strides forward for our institution that nobody sees. There's our natural gas input. You guys have probably seen the hybrid vehicles that we have around. Well, we also have this incredible fleet of very efficient little vehicles, which are not pickup trucks of yesteryear. Okay, we also have, here are some of the cool vehicles we have around. We have really efficient windows. Look on Mac House, they have double pane windows. And why do we come up with these double pane windows? Well, we did a heat analysis of all the buildings on campus. So try to recognize your dorm as these flash by. You probably won't be able to, but the hot spots are all red and white. And those are places where heat's escaping in advance of us putting up double pane windows. We also use tap water. We UV treat tap water, and so we get drinking water from these great sources. Water is a precious resource. There's not much drinking water, so it doesn't make sense to flush 2 gallons of it down the toilet every time. So we've got we started a program of waterless urinal replacements. Oh, nobody wants to see that. Okay. Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center that generates 2 million tons of garbage saves $600,000 a year by just recycling. That's why we recycle. We want to make our campuses beautiful and make Mr. Taft happy. Okay. I love that he's smiling in that bust. So one of the flagships of this place, besides the fact that we have recycled gravel surface, is that we source locally, and we have a LEED Gold dining hall. This is no easy accomplishment. And here's Chef Jerry Revron making very tasty treats for us all. Actually, we didn't get those. Those went to a French dinner. Here are the people enjoying those treats. LEED buildings basically lower operating and life cycle costs, lower water and energy resource use, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and serve as a living laboratory and foundation for future sustainability efforts. Can we do more? Most definitely we can. There's always room for improvement. I'm an idealist and a hopeless romantic, and I think we can have it all. Seemingly simple changes to a system are often complex and always not so simple. We can learn by others' examples. In crew racing, like in so many sports, it makes perfect sense to study your opponents. It's sometimes challenging and difficult to take a good look at yourself and take stock. First off, Americans are really into consumption. So think about where you're buying things. The average American office worker uses about 500 disposable cups every year, throws away enough paper and plastic cups, forks, and spoons to circle the equator 300 times. And every year, Americans use about 1 billion shopping bags, creating 300,000 tons of landfill waste. The average American uses about the equivalent of one 100-foot-tall Douglas fir tree in paper and wood products each year. And the average office worker uses about 10,000 sheets of copy paper each year. So double-side print. Recycle, reuse, recycle. We have a school-wide recycling program, and I'd love to see everyone participating in that. It's kind of a slow showing last night, but I know you guys had the day off. So, also, switch off lights. Take shorter showers. Wear sweaters instead of cranking up space heaters. Switch off your power strips. Don't leave your computer charging forever. Use CFLs and LEDs instead of old light bulbs. And don't waste food. And one cool thing I got at Harvard, besides a diploma, was this cool t-shirt. Green is the new crimson. And here they give you, it's so easy, they give you all the simple rules right in the back. Drive less, turn off computers, unplug chargers, turn out the lights, take shorter showers, adjust the thermometer, eat less meat, wash clothes in cold water, ditch the plastic, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rethink. Thank you very much for coming.